Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It is almost Easter, so I wanted to share my family's favorite Easter tradition, which is naturally dyeing Easter eggs. Which I know makes sense because I'm a natural dyer, so of course we're going to naturally dye Easter eggs. We have been making these for years, but this year is really special because my son is finally old enough to get in on the action and have a great time. We made all these colors with a few simple ingredients, including red cabbage, which makes the most beautiful light to dark blues. We also use coffee, which makes the most lovely light and dark browns. We use beets for light and dark pinks and magentas, turmeric for textural marigold and bright yellows, and a new one I tried this year for the first time to wonderful results, and that's frozen blueberries. You will also need some white vinegar, a spoon that you don't mind getting stained, and a towel that you can get stained as well. Paper towel works just as well, and of course some eggs. I have created this little cheat sheet which you can take a screenshot of that goes over the basic hot and cold brew methods that I use in this video. On the left, the hot brew method is going to give you the deepest, darkest colors in my opinion. Take a minute to pause this video and just have a quick look over what I do for the hot and cold method so that you'll be familiar when I reference the hot brew method or the cold brewed method in the rest of this video. For the hot brew, let me show you how I make a turmeric bath. I'm going to put the turmeric powder in my pot and cover it with warm water and add my white vinegar, and stir until the turmeric is dissolved completely. I'll bring my pot to a boil, add my eggs, and cook for about an hour after reducing the heat and covering my pan. Turmeric is a great Easter egg dye because you can create so many wonderful colors and textures. Here is another place where you can take a screenshot and pause the video. This is the basic method I use to create different colors and textures for my Easter eggs. The amount of dye you use is going to give you a range of colors. The amount of time you let your eggs set in the bath is going to make a big difference. And if you wash your eggs after removing it or just let the dye bath dry on your eggs is going to give you a huge range of colors. Also, adding resists is so much fun. Using a weak bath of turmeric gives you bright yellows. A strong bath with lots of turmeric will give you deep marigolds. If you wash off your eggs when you remove them from the dye bath, you'll get a smooth texture, but if you let the eggs dry with the dye water still on them, you will get this wonderful texture that I can't get enough of. Now let's talk about coffee. I'm going to do a basic hot brew for my coffee Easter eggs, bringing my coffee, water, and vinegar to a boil before adding my eggs. The longer the eggs set in the coffee bath, the deeper brown they will get. I highly recommend the hot brew method and then letting your eggs set overnight. The textured eggs are those that I didn't rinse or rub dry after removing them from the bath here on the right. I just let them dry in an upside down egg carton, and that extra dye dries on the texture of the egg and brings out that texture. It's so beautiful. To get all of those beautiful blues you saw at the beginning of the video, I used this hot brew method with red cabbage. Time is your friend with this dye. After boiling for an hour with the hot brew method, these barely blue eggs were the result. Left over the night, the blues got a bit deeper, left for a full day much darker. This is an egg that was left in the bath for 2 days. It has a lovely texture to the color which you can rub off with a towel if you don't like the added dark blue texture. I recommend rubbing the eggs instead of rinsing for a solid color so that they stay darker that way. Look at these gorgeous eggs. I love this so much. And as I said before, I just use an upside down egg carton to dry my eggs. Nothing fancy, it's super easy and it's cheap. Now let's talk about the humble beet. They are so potent and make the absolute best natural egg dye in my opinion. Beets will give you many different shades of pink depending on the amount of beets you use and how long you steep your eggs in the dye bath. Beets and turmeric are the best performers with regard to cold brew method, but both give the best results with hot brew. The bottom egg here was cold brewed and then let set overnight. This egg right here was hot brewed and then left to set and cool overnight. And then this egg over here was hot brewed, left overnight, and then boiled again and set again overnight. So gorgeous. And last but not least, this year I tried a blueberry egg dye and it gave the most wonderful results. I only did a hot brew with this. I don't think it would work as well with a cold brew. The top 2 eggs were taken out of the bath right after boiling them for about an hour. The bottom 3 were left in the dye bath overnight. How gorgeous. Don't rinse these when you take them out of the dye bath. The textured top part rubs off pretty easily, so just let them dry in an upside down egg carton, touching them as little as possible until they finish drying completely. I love the texture and I love this color. Before moving on to the next section, I just want to encourage everybody to try mixing the dyes. I hot brewed these in turmeric and then put it in a beet bath to cold brew overnight, and it gave this light orange, and I think it'd be fun to experiment as much as possible. Okay, now let's get crazy and add a lot of texture to some Easter eggs. I'm using beet dye for all the eggs in this section. For these speckled eggs, I let my eggs boil in the beet bath for about 20 minutes before removing each and quickly rinsing it to reveal this light yellow color. With a paintbrush, I dipped my brush into the hot beet bath and flicked my egg on one side, and then let them dry for a few minutes before flipping it over and doing the other side and letting the other side dry. I love these eggs. I think they're so cool. Next, these marbled eggs were boiled using the hot brew method and then left overnight. When I took it out of the bath, I lightly soaked up all the extra dye with a paper towel, making sure not to rub off the dye, and then just let them dry in an egg carton, and they gave this lovely marbled look. These eggs were made with beets with the hot brew method, then left overnight. When I took them out of the bath, I immediately set them on a paper towel and didn't touch them until they were dry. They got all these drip textures that I left, and I love it. Okay, some more fun things to try, which are using resists. I am using cilantro and kids glue to create resist and the cold brew method. You can do this with a hot brew, but you will need to use an old nylon stocking and wrap it pretty tight inside the egg. I don't have any stockings, but I do have cilantro and kid glue, so that is what I used for this. I initially came up with this idea as a resist. I had a pot of indigo out back just for my normal natural dyeing job, so I really wanted to give natural dyeing a go with this indigo vat on eggs. The result, I think, is so cool. It gives a really nice texture, and I think I'm going to do a lot more of these indigo eggs in the future. I kind of fell in love with the shape of these cilantro leaves and just the look when they were actually on the eggs. So I did another turmeric bath, made it super strong, and just glued the cilantro leaves onto this egg. I think it's going to look so gorgeous on Easter brunch when I put one of these on everybody's plate. So that's the plan. These are my new favorite eggs. And the two colors together I think are so gorgeous. These are some other experiments I did. I sort of threw the kitchen sink. I did like all of the colors together. I think they look like outer space. I love them. And then I finally, after I just added all the dye together, just dipped it in the indigo bath because why not? So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it's helpful. I hope it inspires you to make some naturally dyed eggs, whether it's with a kiddo or if it's just on your own. If I'm being frank, I am an adult and I did most of the work, and I'm pretty sure I had 99% of the fun. So I encourage people of all ages to give it a try. So thank you guys for watching and happy Easter!